Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kervison, joined with Reed Bacon. We have a great one today. We're interviewing Jacob Warren. He lets us know what's the biggest difference in this year than last year and why it's kind of turned around. He also gives us a little in-depth into the offense and how it works. So that's so much fun. And we talk about Florida being down in the dumps. Mullin is out. So it's a great day to be involved, honestly. Let's get into it.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught it by Tennessee. Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
Okay, so before we jump into the podcast, got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. You got to go there to bet on any games. Listen, football, full swing. We're getting into bowl games. We're getting into college football playoffs. It's getting a later half of the NFL, maybe some playoffs coming up. Basketball's in full swing. NBA, college basketball, now just starting up. To make all those games more exciting, you got to bet on them. Put some money down. It really gets the adrenaline going. So for stats, for odds, for spreads, everything that you need, betonline.ag is the place to go. Right now, they've just updated their desktop version of their website. So it looks brand new. So go there or on your mobile device. And when you sign up, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit if you use code BELIEVE50. That's BLEAV 50. So make sure and use that when you first sign up and you receive that 50% welcome bonus, which is just, hey, it's extra money. Why wouldn't you do it? So head on over to betonline.ag. It's the best place to do any bets. It's just the best sports book out there. So go on over. Welcome in, everyone. I have a little bit of a change of scenery. Wi-Fi wasn't working in my other spot, so I am in my bathroom right now. So hopefully this works a little bit better. And, there's certain sacrifices we have to make to get some content to you guys. So I'll just take it like that. Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Yeah, you're just setting up. We're about to start going. You've been, as people joke, you're in your sauna that you have. Then you have your other room. Then you've had your backdrop just being like downtown Nashville. And now you're in your bathroom. And I just start cracking up. I was like, well, I hope Brianne, your wife, doesn't need a potty break while we're recording this.
She was worried about that. She's like, do I need to go before you get in there? I'm like, hopefully we can make this nice, short and sweet.
Yeah, it's like going on a trip. It's like, I don't think I need to go, but let me just go. So yeah. I'm doing well, though. It was a good weekend. I mean, one loss by the basketball team, but I'm not worried about it. Like, they're going to bounce back. They bounced back today with a nice win against North Carolina. And even if we had lost, like, the sky's not falling. It's November. And we all know that the only thing that really matters is March, and we'll see if,
plus,
Rick Barnes.
Villanova is a very good team. It's not like we lost to like a damn cupcake.
Well, and the other thing is too, we shot one of the times that I looked at it, we were like 2 of 18 from 3, and with teams like that, we had some teams with Bruce Pearl back in the day where we just lived and died by the 3. So some days you turn on, not us, we're watching the full game, but someone might turn on the TV or see sports and be like, oh my gosh, Tennessee just, beat Kentucky by 18, holy crap. And then there's other days we're going to lose by 20 because your shots aren't going to be falling when you live and die with the 3.
Yeah, there's a bunch of turnovers too, which true. You're never going to win the game like that.
Right. But hey, and you know what though? Since we're talking about it, I'm excited to when we do get to some basketball season, we get to talk about it some and kind of go over it. But yeah, so nice bounce back win today. A horrendous performance by my Titans, but it's the NFL. It happens. We got tons of injuries. So let's get to what matters. And we did what we needed to do against South Alabama, and that was win me money. So
yes. I love that. Yeah, that's what was most important, using betonline.ag and winning some money on some bets. So, yeah, I'm very happy with this win. Like we said last podcast, this is a game that you want to not worry about and know that you're just going to go out there and perform, which is exactly what they did. There was never a doubt, never a question of what was going to happen. Offense just never stopped. I mean, 7 total touchdowns. Defense played well. I'm happy that we are back to where we are and not, a couple years ago losing to Georgia Southern. Like we're not in that same, or Georgia State. I can't even remember. But like, we're not in that same realm where we're paying teams millions of dollars for them to beat us. So it's very, very refreshing to see.
Yeah. I mean, you think of back, even it was during Butch's time, during Dooley's time, and then obviously during Pruitt, each one of them had games that either we lost or were much closer. And this is only year one, and we've only seen it, I guess, twice now with South Alabama and with Bowling Green. But he handled business exactly like he was supposed to. It wasn't ever in question, and that's great.
We'll see how he does too.
Oh, exactly, and Tennessee Tech. So it's great. Like you brought up that one time when Butch was here, North Texas, which we were never worried about losing, but it was maybe closer than people thought. And we had some other games against some lower competition like Troy and some of these other teams that were scoring right back and forth with us. And so it's just great to see that, hey, we showed up, we handled business. And the reason I brought up the point about winning money was because I saw this line. Like, I usually never bet on the Titans or the Vols just because, like, it's just a weird thing. It's like, if I do it, I feel like we're going to lose. And like, sometimes I don't know how they're going to play. But I saw that line. I'm like, 28? I was like, am I watching the same team that everyone else has been watching? I was like, we drummed Missouri. We drummed South Carolina. We handled business against Tennessee Tech. Like, all the teams that we're supposed to handle, it's usually, and this is what I said. I said, I think we're going to win like 52-10, maybe 52-17 at the absolute worst. I was like, so that's an easy cover. So I put the money on UT and just watched it and just basically sat there and counted my money, like, because I just felt so comfortable with it. I mean, we knew we were going to put up points, and I had faith in our defense to handle business, and they did.
Yeah, they did. I don't necessarily feel like going straight into specific plays, but I kind of an overall performance breakdown, because we have a great interview coming up with a Vol player in Jacob Warren. So that'll be awesome. But the defense, I mean, held them 1 of 16 on third down, like, amazing. A little hesitant on the 5 for 8 on fourth down, just like letting them get those fourth downs. That kind of sucked. I really wish we had gotten a turnover during this, but I think South Alabama wasn't necessarily risking anything. You know what I mean? Like, really pushing the ball anywhere, trying to get in the tight windows. And there was a couple plays like that one-handed catch by the dude, where it was, I think it was Burrell that was on him. But it's just like, dang, like, we cannot have that. And especially when you're playing lesser competition, it's like, you can do that maybe versus South Alabama, but you can't do that versus the big dogs of the SEC.
I agreed, but that receiver, he's projected right now like a first-round draft pick. So at least one, and I forget his name. It's slipping my mind, but I mean, like, he's probably one of the best receivers they've seen all year. And I was like, man, that kind of stinks that they're completing some of those. But I was like, as long as we keep them out of the end zone, we end up making the plays when we need to, like a couple deep shots here and there. Like, it is what it is. If he's an NFL player one day, then it's going to happen. And They had another receiver too, who's a pretty good-sized big kid. They both caught with their hands well. So, but it was what it was. We ended up handling business in a big way.
Yeah. I love the fact that Velus finally got a returning touchdown. Like, it was something that he was so close to throughout the year. I mean, going into this game, he was third in the SEC in return yards. So, like, he is a good returner. And he had that one called back. Was that Tennessee Tech?
Yeah.
That was called back. So it's like so great to see that he finally got one, finally got that, like, monkey off his back. We had 250 yards rushing. I absolutely love it. That is, as offensive lineman dream, that's exactly what you want out of your team. And I don't care if it's versus South Alabama. It's hard to run for 250 yards, versus anybody. So kudos to those guys up front, the offensive line, clearing the pathway, and huge shout out to Whitehead and Wright. Awesome performance by both of them. I thought they played very well. I thought this was a great game for them to gain some confidence, gain some understanding of the offense, and feel like, okay, yeah, I can play on Saturdays. I'm not second fiddle to anybody. And honestly, that is important with younger guys. So when you do get an opportunity like this game, when you're winning so much, you get a chance to put in younger guys or put in second string and everything. It's very important. I mean, it really is. Those kind of games where you're blowing out teams and then bowl practices are so, so important for your guys that are past first string, second, third, younger guys, freshmen, red shirts. That is so important for them. So that's why it's such a huge advantage to go to a bowl, not only for recruiting, and your guys really enjoy it and you get a lot of fun out of it. And you can tell recruits we're heading in the right direction, but also coaching up the younger guys and letting them understand more and more and more about the playbook and feel okay, I can do this. This isn't too far ahead of me, because a lot of guys, when I came in as a freshman, I felt like that, definitely felt like that, where I was oh man, I don't know if I can really compete with these guys. It's always in the back of your head, but then, you gain confidence over time. So I just love the fact that we just got bowl eligible with that win. So it really sets that up. And, Heupel's he's not afraid to throw guys in there when they need to be and take the starters out. So love that. Love everything of the outcome of this game.
Yeah, I was happy that you mentioned VJ, Velus Jones Jr., but because I was watching, and before he returned that, they threw a little out route to him, and it was so funny. He catches it, and I'm sitting there, I'm well, he's about to break this. And the guy comes up and tries to make a tackle, and he makes the guy miss, and he gets another 5, 10 yards, 15 yards, whatever it was. And I was he really is special with the ball in his hands in his own way. We talked about, he doesn't even look like he's moving that fast. He's very smooth. He kind of glides, but he's got that Alvin Kamara, balance that he's going to break a tackle, but it's just they either bounce off of him or he just kind of keeps running and they just fall off. But he's really smooth with it. And then when he gets the kick return, I turn around and I'm oh, here he goes. Oh, he's got a chance. And then it's just kind of effortless. So it is special to see. And I'm happy for him, because it was a big deal when he transferred. Everyone's hey, this is pretty good get, this. And then last year I just felt he didn't really get many opportunities. And, and so I was just happy that he got to come back and in this offense, have a really, really good season. So that's good for him. I love seeing the younger guys too. Like you said, it was great to see Jalen Wright back out there. I feel like I hadn't seen him since, Pitt. And then Whitehead was running tough and running hard. And my man Pierce, the walk-on, was back in there. Dude, that guy looks anytime he's in there, he looks like he's shot out of a cannon. And I love it. It was good to see Joe Milton play some. It was great to see all those other offensive line. I loved it. It was just a good game. Like you said, people, and you've said it, so I'm just kind of repeating what you said, but you can practice all you want. And I don't care if it's a blowout in the good way or the bad way or whatever, but when you still get to step into Neyland and those lights are going, it's still something that you can – it's all about building your confidence. So I love that we saw that. And, yeah, it's to my knowledge, I don't think we had any major health concerns, or injuries or anything. I know I saw Cade go out. I don't know if he came back in. Hopefully he's all fine. And like you said, handle business against Vandy. Let them know that they are little brother. And then let's get some good bowl practices. And this year I am so freaking excited for the bowl. Usually I'm bowl projections this, bowl projections that, whatever, let's just go in. No, this year I'm chomping the bits. I hope we get a big name. I hope we get a Clemson or an Iowa or Nebraska, or not Nebraska, Iowa or Wisconsin, or, or like a Oklahoma State, just one of these that are ranked in that 12 to 18 to 20 range, and just go and just put it on them,
Yeah.
So
I hope that happens too. I mean, I feel like with, Auburn losing to South Carolina, that kind of helps our chances of getting one of those games, because you really look at all the SEC teams that are in the top tier. So it's, Georgia, Bama, and then you got Ole Miss, you got Mississippi State, you got Arkansas up there. And then after that, it's like, hey, like, we beat Kentucky, we travel better, like, we're going to get a better game than them. Florida's fighting to be bowl eligible. South Carolina just got bowl eligible. We whooped them. Who else on the West? LSU. It's just like, we're right there, like 5 or 6. So hopefully we can get a good bowl game. I mean, the usual, they like to send us to Music City because we're so close. And I can't remember what date that usually is. I think it's the 30th.
You had some good Florida games. You had two good Florida.
We went to some Florida games when I was there, but like, yes, but I think it literally depends on like where you're at in the echelon of SEC teams.
Yeah,
like whether you're going to get there or not.
So your junior and senior year, when it started getting that, hell, maybe the whole time you were there, because even when you're younger, you're like, I want some goodies, bitches, so you're wanting some of the stuff that they give out from these bowl things. But like, were you starting to look at this stuff, like projections, or like thinking about where you could go or what game you could get?
No, I don't think we were looking at that. Especially my junior year, because we had to win versus Vandy to get bowl eligible. So like, that was like all that was on our minds. The next year, I guess there was a little bit of talk, because going into the last game, we were already there. And it was like, okay, I wonder what we're going to get. We should get a Florida game because, we travel well. We're a really good team. We're better than our record says because of how close the games were that we lost.
Right.
And
Oklahoma,
like that year,
Florida,
Oklahoma and Alabama were in the college football playoff. And it was like, okay, we played the two of the top teams, and we were close on both of the games. So
absolutely overtime, and should have won the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, we knew that we would get a good spot, and we would probably be able to jump a team that maybe had a better record than us. So I was really happy with that Outback Bowl, because like, you do get better stuff the higher bowls you get. Like, I remember guys saying, like New Year's Six bowls, they were getting like PS4s. Going to the bowls, and it's like, bro, I got a fucking jacket at the Tax Slayer Bowl. Like, what do you mean you got a PS4?
We can talk about that. That'd be a good thing to bring up for our bowl pod, our podcast that we have, like Bowl Week or whatever, because I have some stuff about that too, and I know you have some good stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to talk about the South Alabama game? Bring up any kind of players or shout outs to guys before we move to our interview?
I always can shout out a few. I thought Roman Harrison was running real well last night. He had some really nice big hits. And I'll be honest with everyone, like, I was watching the game, but I was also like doing stuff at the same time. So I was like kind of score checking and watching. Cedric Tillman, that was a hell of a catch down the right side when he went up in Moss Buddy again. He really does remind me so much of Mike Evans, because he's not the fleetest of feet, but he attacks the ball well. He uses his body well. I always jokingly said I always see him sometimes running with his hand up and kind of stumbling because someone overthrew him. Well, another thing I feel like I always see is him catching a pass and someone in his ankles trying to tackle him, and he's like still like trying to go. And I'm like, just get down, my guy. But yeah, defensively, Big Omari Thomas, another great play. I'm excited for his future. Matthew Butler doing Matthew Butler things. Kind of everybody, in a game like that, and we played well and handled business like we're supposed to. Like, everyone kind of did what they needed to do and had some good plays. And Alante brought the intensity again. Theo was out there doing what Theo does. Yeah, so it was just I noticed a lot of the same type of guys, but for the good reasons.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of good out of this game, seeing out of guys. So, but I think you're on with everyone else too, because I was doing the same thing where I was like doing laundry or like helping with the dishes, like while watching the game, and like popping back up, like sliding back in and being like, "Oh, nice play," and then going back out.
Yeah.
Just because
Well,
it was South Alabama.
People will love this, but I was having to clean my room. living back at
the Chinese restaurant, Reed's got a room in the back and he's got to clean it up, or his mom's going to get on him.
Everyone knows I sold my house, moved back out with my parents, and so it's like I had so much crap, and like over the weeks and months, like I was putting stuff up, but then clothes were like the number one thing that like we're still all over. My mom was finally like, "All right, Reed, like you got to do something with this room." So it was perfect. I got to watch the game and put some stuff up. So
yeah, perfect. All right, so overview of the South Alabama game. Now we're going to jump into a fantastic interview with Jacob Warren. We talked about, some of the biggest differences between last year and this year, what Heupel has brought to this team, and how their offense works, what we see out of there that me and Reed have broken down before. And he kind of explains it to us. So fantastic interview. Let's jump into it. Okay, so we welcome on a very special guest today. He is a Farragut Admiral legend.
That's
and
right.
The king of Knoxville. It is tight end for the University of Tennessee, Jacob Warren. How are you doing, bud?
Not quite. That one was a little too far, but no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well.
I'm so glad that you came on. We were talking before the podcast that you reached out whenever I mentioned you getting that big block versus that Kentucky linebacker, and you actually knew the guy.
Yeah. DeAndre Square, he's my boy. So we went to an All-American game out of high school, like a Senior Bowl type thing down in Louisiana. And he was my roommate actually like in the hotel, and like spent a lot of time with him throughout the week. You still hear me?
Yeah. So did you say anything to him, or did he like, hey, well, like you got me bad?
Yeah, right. So after the play, whatever, like we had ran back to the huddle. You know how we are, like our offense. I'm not worried about talking to him. Like I'm looking for the signal and stuff. So then it was after the next play, he came to me. He's like, "What's up, Jacob?" And like dabbed me up. He's like, "Dude, you got me good. I ain't gonna lie on that crack block." I was like, "I know, bro. I didn't know if he was gonna say something about it or not, but yeah, no, I got a hold of. He said, "Good block though, man. Keep it up. Like keep doing what you're doing." And I told him like, "Yeah, man, just keep balling. I seen you doing your thing. Like good luck this game, whatever." Like just
I was like, that has to be quite an embarrassing moment to just be like, damn.
Yeah. He handled it well though. He did. He handled it well.
All right. So before we get into anything else, I want you to promote all your NIL deals. Let us know what you got going on, any kind of offer codes or whatever's happening. So go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I'll start with the first one that I got, which is a company called Sneakerhead Golf. It's like just a small company. It's run by a couple, Connor and Lex. Shout out you guys. You guys are awesome. You can find it on my Instagram. They make essentially like golf gear. So towels, they make head covers, they make ball markers and stuff, essentially just sneaker culture inspired. And they make a lot of custom jersey covers and stuff like that. So they do a lot of really cool things. Obviously, my biggest one I'd say is Craven Wings, which is a local wing spot out in there's one in Farragut and there's one in Seymour. And like truthfully, like my favorite wing spot, some of the best wings in Knoxville. They do a great job. They really enjoy having me a part of their team. I love being a part of theirs. So shout out Craven Wings. Make sure y'all go check them out. The new Sauce 87 is my.
Dude, I think if I was playing during this time, I would have so many food places.
It's got to be food, right? All the food.
I mean, when you're pushing 330, it's all about how many calories you can get in.
100%. That's the brand. So, I've got a couple of things. I got some right here, like sour strips. Just like a little sour candy company that will hook me up with some candy every once in a while. And I've got a couple other things in the works. So keep looking out on the social medias to see what's coming up.
Heck yeah. Love that.
Hey, Jacob, I got a follow up to that. So how did those come about?
So the sour strips one, the candy one, actually, I'm a big candy guy. I love sour stuff. So I reached out to them, was just like, hey, like, I'd be willing to promote y'all's stuff on my Instagram stories and stuff like that. If you just send me, a little pack, a little gift pack or whatever every once in a while. And they're like, yeah, for sure. We'd love to do that. I know they do they do a lot of other athletes and stuff too. So, but the Craven Wings, Justin Kress, the owner, actually reached out to me on social media, on Twitter, and was just like, hey, we're a small business, like a local business that we think would benefit from having someone like you. One of their stores is actually in my hometown, like right there in Farragut. So they were like, we'd love to have you specifically because, a lot of people around the area know my name and know my face. And it just made a lot of sense for us to work together, kind of being like the local kid in the local restaurant. So they hit me up talking about that one. So that's usually how it goes. If it's something I really would like to get into, I'll reach out to them. And if it's something that they're kind of looking for someone specific and they kind of want me, then obviously I'm honored to take that opportunity.
Yeah. So really,
hey, I got one follow up, Kyler. I'm sorry. With all this stuff going on now, is it a big talk in the locker room? I mean, I know everyone jokes about when it's like in the NFL and stuff, and when Kyler's time in the NFL, he and I would talk about this, like, obviously you don't get in other people's pockets, you don't talk about different stuff, but is it still something that is brought up where it's like, hey, congrats on, the Craven Wings, or like, hey, I heard you're doing this or doing that, or then is it like jokes about like, I'm over here getting this and you guys aren't getting anything, or how is that in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to get some comments about like, oh, big NIL guy or big money guy, whatever it may be from some people. So it's all just kind of jokes. So we all understand that, these opportunities are really big for all of us. And we're just happy to see everyone succeed. Like I saw Velas the other day had got an apartment complex that he lives in actually wanted to do some work with him. So he had posted a video and I was like, dude, I think that's hilarious and awesome that you work for your apartment complex. Like, I just thought it was cool. So it's stuff like that, just kind of congratulating each other and just being happy that we're all getting these opportunities. So, but no real money talk. Everyone kind of keeps on the low about all the money and what they get.
That's why I figured it would be, but it is neat to see. It is neat to see some of those different things.
For sure.
Yeah. I feel like when one guy like signs like a big one, whoever it might be, like next day he comes in, it's like, oh, what's up? Made of money now, huh?
Right.
Like, don't ask me to buy you anything, bro.
Nope. You can't ask me for nothing because I know you got it.
Okay. So the biggest question that I wanted to ask you, and I think everybody wants to know the answer to, is everyone's new there, coaching staff, a ton of players. I mean, all the way up to the top AD. And there's been such a huge change in how this team is, how they react in the games, how much fun you guys are having. Literally the play on the field. So, what would you say is the biggest difference from, when you guys are going into Texas A&M last year versus going into Vandy this year, like going into your last game, like what has been the biggest difference to really put you guys, now you're bowl eligible, possibly win 7 games. Like, what is it that made that huge change?
Yeah. So I think it all started whenever Danny White got here as the AD, right? He intentionally sat down with the football team and was like, look, guys, like, I understand that we can go out and make this decision and we could bring in a guy that we think would be good for you or whatever. But he was like, I want to know what you guys need and what you guys want, like, from a coach. And so we all like really thought that was something like out of the ordinary. Like, usually you wouldn't think that the players would get to be involved in like selecting the coach and doing all this stuff. But we told him, like, look, man, we need someone who's going to bring like a true like family atmosphere. We need someone that is a real like that really cares about his players, that really intentionally loves on his players and all these other things. And so he was well informed about what we wanted and what we needed. And so obviously he made that happen with Coach Hype. And so now once he gets here and like we start buying into what his staff says, and obviously there was some people that ended up leaving because they didn't believe in this process and they didn't think that it was a fit for them, which is fine. But now that we've kind of fine-tuned like ourselves and kind of gotten comfortable with the process, they call it the process, right? The weekly grind, like what you have to do to get yourself ready to play on Saturdays. Everyone's kind of just fallen into place and gotten comfortable with that now. And so what you see on Saturdays is you see us just going out there and just executing the plan that we've had that starts on Sunday. You know what I mean? It all starts over every week. And it's like, all right, now what do I have to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whether it's red zone, whether it's third downs, whether it's short yardage. The game is really just like the test for what, we're studying all week, doing all this other stuff. And then we take the test on Saturdays. And so we're able to perform because we're just prepared better. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so it's just a confidence, I think, really, honestly, it's confidence, it's trust and love for the coaches, from the players. Everything goes into it. And that's why you see, this is a hard fighting bunch of dudes, right? Like, we're not going to quit. We're not going to lay down. And that's because we genuinely like care about what we're playing for and who we're playing for. And we honestly believe that we can go in any Saturday and beat anybody, just like plain up. That's just simple how it is. So
yeah, I mean,
that mentality has gotten us this far.
I think that first drive versus Georgia is proof of that, where you're guys are like, I don't care who you are. Like, I'm going to try and whoop your ass.
Mm-hmm. Every play.
Hey, Jacob, I got a follow up to that, and I've heard a bunch about that on different just interviews that people have talked about and stuff. But that this coaching staff is so driven off process. Hey, you take care of Sunday, and we'll worry about Monday when he gets here, and then we're going to take care of Monday, and so on. How is that different than the previous staff? Like, and the reason I ask that is because I know from playing, and Kyler from playing, and hearing multiple other coaches, it usually is about the process. Is that not how it was with the other staff, or kind of how did they approach things?
Yeah, honestly, like, this is 100% honest. I can't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I and this sounds stupid. Like, it sounds like I'm lying to you. Like, I just don't want to talk about it. But like, people ask me like, what was it like last year? What was practice like? Like, I genuinely, like, I don't remember. All I can think about is like how we did in spring ball. And obviously, like, I remember, last year on Mondays we had, pads or whatever. Tuesday we had pads, and there wasn't as much of a specific focus on, like I was saying earlier, like tight zone. Today, tight zone only. That's all we're going to work on. We're going to perfect our tight zone plan so that we can wait. If we spend all day on it on Tuesday, no matter when we revisit it on Friday for our walkthroughs, like, it's still going to be fresh in our minds rather than like trying to hit all of it every day. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So you're hitting like a subject a day compared to doing 4, 5, 6, 7 things, then trying to remember all. When does your week start? When's your off day? Is your off day on Sundays or Mondays?
Yeah, today we've got recovery day. So we'll go in there and get the treatment that we need post game, get some food, and then kind of just take it easy the rest of the day. Like, watch film and stuff on the game from the day before. And then we'll start kind of ramping it up throughout the week. But our major work days, like probably many other people, are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And that's when we're really, really hitting it hard and trying to keep our body right. You can't go the whole season and not practice, like fitting up on guys and shooting your hands and like really fitting up. So those are our major work days. And the other days we'll kind of just focus on the mental side and getting everything fine-tuned to where we can play really fast and be successful.
When do you all go in on Sundays?
It's not till later. I think it's kind of like a flow thing. You kind of just come in whenever you need to.
Oh, that's hype. Okay, I was just curious. I just remember.
Are you guys going in individually, or is it like, hey, tight ends, we're meeting at 4, or?
So, yeah, it all is technically individual. Like, you can come in whenever, but all the tight ends will come in and watch the film together and do this. And we'll go down and get the food trucks and stuff and just hang out and eat. And that's just something that we do together just because.
That's a good so idea. Nice.
And you get closer with the guys in your unit. So
sure. Yeah.
I did want to jump into some of the offense. Now, this is been some of the most fun football to watch because you guys are just blowing up the scoreboard,
right?
Having drives where it's literally one play and touchdown. And as an offensive guy, I absolutely love it. Love to see it. But I had a couple questions. I know Reed has probably some, but there are certain plays you guys run where half of the receivers to one side don't even run routes. You guys just stand there and let Hendon throw it one-on-one on the other side. What is that coaching point like? Like, what does Heupel say to you guys where he's like, hey, don't even worry about it. If he can't make this throw, then he'll just run it himself. So you guys just take a break of it. Like, is that just the coaching point?
Yeah. I mean, just the way that we play, obviously we're playing super fast. And if you run a route every single play, you're going to get gassed very, very fast. And so it's a kind of just the concepts that we will run. Like you said, it's either there or, you don't have checkdowns backside. So the ball's got to get pushed to the concept side, or it's got to get checked down, whatever it may be. Or luckily Hendon, great on his feet. So he's able to scramble and make stuff happen. But that's kind of just the way that we're able to play fast is that, you guys take your breather and just know that you're going to have to be ready to go next play or later in the drive, whatever it may be. So just the way that Golish and that Heupel kind of dial it up is just to kind of keep everyone fresh and keep everyone ready to go, if that makes sense. Without getting.
Do you feel like there's a plan, hey, we're going to run this type of play where you guys get to take off every sixth play?
Yeah, I think it's more of Coach Golish, he's up in the box, Heupel's down the field. Obviously, they can see who's kind of breathing hard, right? And they can tell, okay, let's take it off of Sed. Sed just caught a bomb for 45 yards. This kid's going to be tired. Let's go over here and let's work this side and then give him a breather so then he can be ready to go whenever we need him. You know what I mean? Instead of sending him catching a big post and then him running a dig on the backside of a concept for no reason, just not even to get the ball. Does that make sense? That's kind of how their philosophy on it, I think.
Okay. That makes more sense in my head. And I don't think I've really ever seen that. I mean, we did up tempo my last couple of years there too. And we never had it to where hey, receivers just take this play off. It's only going one way. It's only going to one guy. And if it's not him, quarterback's running. So I think that's awesome to see. I mean, it's just it's something different that Hype has come up with to just help you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's besides saying awesome, I think it's pretty genius. It's one of those things that you probably don't think to do until someone else does it, and it goes along well, because most people are like, what the hell are they doing just standing there? But you're right, there's 0 point. There's zero, so don't overthink stuff. Who cares what other coaches, fans, media, doesn't matter. It's very smart. The one thing I wanted to ask you, Jacob, is I've been talking to Kyler, and after watching Coach Hype, I feel like we legitimately have an advantage on the sideline with him, with calling the plays or just his offensive paralysis or whatever. And there's times where we might get a 2-3 yard gain on first down. And then I love saying we, I just realized that.
No, that's fine.
As if I'm on the team. But anyway, so you guys get a 2 or 3 yard gain on first down. And then maybe it's a run for a negative yard. So you're looking at a 3rd and 9 and a 3rd and 11. And he looks like he just never gets flustered. And it seems like you guys never get flustered. It's yeah, we're going to have some negative plays, but it doesn't matter because it's almost like he always has these ace up his sleeves for these 3rd and 11s or 3rd and 6. I just didn't know if that's how you guys feel, or kind of you can expand on that, or. Yeah.
I hate to keep going back to it, but it's super simple the way that they do it, because like you said, they never get very flustered because we have that plan, right? Say when we're practicing 3rd downs, we don't just practice, okay, well, today's 3rd downs, make sure you push to the sticks. It's all right, we're going to practice our 3rd and short plays. We're going to practice our 3rd and medium plays, our 3rd and long plays. So if it's 10 yards, we're going to run this play. If it's 6 yards, we're going to run this play. So there is a plan going into it, which there has to be, because, those plays are getting signaled very fast, and because they I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than just like they know what's going to happen before it happens. Like if say, okay, we're going to run this play. If we don't get it, or if we end up in 3rd and long, like you said, we're going to go to this one. If we're in 3rd and short, we're going to this one. We're going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense.
That's why they're able to just stay so calm. And you see shots of him on the sidelines, just stone cold, like just ready to go. You know what I mean? Like he's locked in.
Yeah.
He's like the rest of us. So us seeing that is great. You know, you'd hate to look over onto the sideline and your coach is like, oh gosh, like what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, no, like,
right.
You want to look over there and see him confident. And then you're like, okay, for sure. He believes in the call. Let's go out there and execute it. So
he when you see him in like pressers and different stuff like that, or like talking to media, like he can kind of, in my opinion, he can kind of come off as like a goofy guy. But then when Kyler and I met him, we came to watch practice a couple times. Dude's like got some swag about him. Like he was cold blooded in his own right. So it's kind of nice to see that.
Yeah.
So
I think him being a former player like helps in that way. Where he's like, listen, you got to be confident in yourself. You got to be confident in the guys around you, and you can't let someone else determine what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because
he was a dude. He was a dude too. People forget like.
Yeah,
Heisman candidate, runner-up, like national championship winner. Like he was a real dude, so he understands exactly what the mentality needs to be to be successful.
Yeah, I just absolutely love it. It's a lot different than previous coaches when they like pan to him on the sideline after like a say false start or a holding or a turnover or whatever. They pan to him and he's just like,
all right, how are we going to bounce back from this?
That's it, and it's not like red face. Screaming at somebody, and that's so refreshing to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, because when we're breaking down the games afterwards, that Georgia game, breaking it down, and credit to those guys. I know that they got really good players on that defense. I know that defense is elite. I mean, you see it throughout this season. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason. A lot of those guys are going to be in the NFL, playing for a long time. But watching that game, I didn't really see it as their defense is suffocating or their defense is the reason why we're getting stopped. I saw it as we didn't execute when we could have. There was mental errors or just not hitting the routes at the right spot, not throwing the ball at the right place, not having our eyes correct in pass protection. So like I think we beat ourselves. Like, did you guys get that connotation? Like rewatching film, like, dude, if we would have just, hit on these certain things, like this defense couldn't really stop our offense.
Right. Yeah. You hate like losses like that, and like similar how it happened to Alabama. Like you go back and you watch it, and like along the course of the game, you never know what play it is that really. I wouldn't say ruins the game, but really turns like the tide of the game. You don't know when it happens, but you go back and you watch film, you're like, at that moment, that is a time when the whole game changed. Like when he dropped that pass, or when this offensive lineman missed this, or when the tight end was on the wrong side on, one of these protections, and then something comes off the edge. Like that's the moment when all the momentum shifted and our offense was becoming less successful and their defense started looking like they were these, whatever. Yeah. So it's harder to watch those than it is to watch if you just get beat, you just get straight up beat. It's hard to watch, but it's like, okay, like you said, those guys will be in the NFL. Those guys are number 1 defense. It's easy to say that, like, if they truly just like straight up beat you. But when you watch yourself up on there, or you watch your team up there, and it's like, man, like if I could have just done this, I could have just done that, it would have been a totally different game. Like if we would have got, God forbid, if we would have got this call, it would have been a totally different game. Yeah, it's tough to watch that, but obviously that's why you go back and you watch the film and you learn from it, and then you try to be better the next week. And that's literally all you can do, which, it's one of those things.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I remember watching film on those Sundays and just like replaying the same play over and over, like, God dang it,
no
dude.
way I did that.
How close is this?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Reed, you got any more questions for him about the offense or anything?
No, I mean, I don't want to go off topic or off subject or whatever, but I wanted to ask Jacob about like his recruitment, like coming out of high school. And because I at the time I was living in Nashville, so maybe I wasn't keeping up with it as much or whatever. But I mean, going to Farragut, did you grow up in Knoxville your whole life, or did you? Okay.
Yeah. So I was born in Texas, moved to Knoxville. My whole mom's side of the family is from Knoxville. My dad's side from Memphis. So we moved back up to Tennessee to just be closer to them. And that was when I was like probably like 1 or 2 years old. Like that was a long time.
Okay.
So I was practically raised all in Knoxville. Grew up in Farragut like my whole life. Recruiting wise, let's see. It's weird. Like I never, I guess going into like freshman year and like sophomore year of high school, didn't realize like, I guess my potential, and I didn't really have a vision for where I wanted to be at the end of high school, or where, you know, like I hadn't set those goals for myself yet. But then my junior year, obviously get a chance to play like a lot and start catching a lot of balls and like making a lot of plays. And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, like blah, 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 like all this people talking about me and talking about that team. Cause that team in particular was like a very solid high school football team. We ended up winning that state championship my junior year. And at the end of that year is when I got my first like offers, I guess. Texas San Antonio was my first one. And then like Oklahoma State, and then ended up getting Tennessee and South Carolina like really quick. I think those are my third and fourth offers, was Tennessee and South Carolina. And so like, y'all know how it is whenever a kid gets offered by really any big Power 5 at all, right? And especially SECs, for some reason, like everybody else wants to offer him to, just because of the fact that like Tennessee wants you, so many other people are going to come and try to recruit you. So ended up picking up like 20 something offers. Was a 3-star, which I mean, I don't really care about all that, but ended up being a 3-star out of high school, ranked pretty decently in state and stuff. So let's see.
Did you always know that like you wanted to go to Tennessee, or where'd you take your officials to, or kind of where were you looking at besides Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. Like going throughout the whole process, it was, I didn't want to just like be like, no, I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want to talk to you. I'm just going to go to Tennessee. Like I didn't want it to be like one of those things where I limited myself and didn't kind of like explore my opportunities and everything like that. But my parents actually, like you would think, right? My dad played football here back in the day. My brother was at Tennessee at the time. My whole family's in Knoxville and stuff. Like it was pretty obvious, like I was staying here, right? But like my parents were both like, look, like you would be selling yourself short if you didn't take all these visits and go and just see what's out there for you. So I took a lot of trips to South Carolina. I took a trip like to Wake Forest, Duke, Vanderbilt, Louisville. Those are like some of my favorite places, I guess. And we took a trip out to Oregon one time. That was wow. That was cool. But it's just tough. Like the same reason why I stayed here, like it was tough going across the country. And like I had my mom with me, and like it was still tough. Like, you know what I mean? Right. So that was obviously in the long run why I ended up staying, was because, you know, if I wasn't playing ball, where would I be? Like I'd be at Tennessee, because they just had a lot of the programs and school stuff that I was interested in, and wanted to stay with my family so they could come watch me and all those different things.
Which staff was it? Was it Pruitt's first year, or was it Butch? Or you might have had some overlap, I guess, didn't you?
Yeah, I was recruited by Butch, and Larry Scott was a tight end coach then. And then Butch's last season was my senior year of high school.
Right.
So he had gotten fired like November, I think. And then Pruitt's staff had gotten hired in December. And that was when I was like around taking my official visit. So I took my official visit, I think like the second week that Pruitt and his staff had gotten to town. Okay. And then ended up, I wanted to be an early enrollee here, right? And that was my plan all along with Butch and everything. And so it was like a super weird time, obviously, as you would assume. Like the head coach gets fired, and in a month and a half, you're supposed to be like at school and like enrolled at the university. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. Like, what's going on? Like, who's going to be the coach? And luckily, Pruitt came in and they honored my scholarship, and they were like, no, we still want you and everything. So I ended up doing the early signing and getting to campus January of 2018 and skipping that last semester of my senior year of high school. So yeah, that was it. Ever since then, it's just been a get bigger, get stronger, get better, get smarter. It's just been a grind ever since then. So
you have now, Kyle and I were talking about this last night, and I should have double checked, but great show prep. But you have technically after this year, you could be another 2 years, right? If you wanted to.
Yeah, because of COVID, and I redshirted freshman year.
That's what I thought. And you, I'm assuming you have. Well, I'm guessing that you have aspirations and maybe wanting to play at the next level, or.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I think everybody like wants to and like dreams of doing, right? And if that opportunity presents itself, then I'm all over it. Like I'm going to attack it like 100% and try to do my best and play as long as I can. So,
absolutely, yeah. Well, I know Kyler's a huge fan of yours, and getting to watch you, and then getting to I guess pay more attention to you because of Kyler and stuff. But I mean, you've been playing awesome and you've been playing great. So keep working, and you never know how things will turn out. Obviously, you have the physical side. It's just 3 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys just standing around talking on a beautiful Sunday, just a bunch of studs.
Yeah, Reed, of course.
Right.
just a bunch of 240 and 50 pound just monsters on this Zoom call.
Mm-hmm. All three of us.
Hey, I remember we were in practice this year, and you came up to Kyler and saw him, and then you ran up. I was like, dang, I knew Jacob was big, but like, dude's a unit. Like, that's a big boy.
People don't realize.
I know, he makes me look like a little shrimp.
People don't realize till you're up on them, and then you're like, oh my gosh, the kid's way bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah, I always hated that because, walking around in real life, I feel like I'm big, and then I get in the locker room and there's 6'9" tackles and 6'6" tight ends. I'm like, God dang, I thought 6'4" was tall.
I tell you what, man, like that's something like I feel. Obviously, I'm one of the taller guys on the team, right? But I still feel like normal when I'm there because you're surrounded by dudes. There's no one there that's like, no offense to anybody, there's no one there that's like short, right? Like nobody really under like 5'8", right? Yeah. So you're around a bunch of like 6 foot, 6'3", like pretty tall guys, and then I'll go out and be just walking to class or something, and I'm just like, there's no way. Like I feel so weird right now because I'm so much bigger than everybody else. I don't like being in big crowds because like I just feel like people are just staring at me because I'm like a foot taller than everybody else. Like I don't know. It's I'll say it's a struggle, man. People will say people say they want to be tall.
I know for a fact you get those people that are like, you must play football, you must play basketball, and it's like, yeah, sweet, like thanks.
Basketball every time, man. Basketball every time. I said no, I don't play basketball. No, I don't.
Yeah, for all the people out there, if you ever see Jacob or see any football player, we can see you looking.
Yes,
like,
I promise.
It's obvious when they're like,
you can't look at me like discreetly. You have to look up, and you kind of got to like, turn your head. So it's kind of obvious whenever you're looking at me.
Yeah, exactly. It's so awkward too. Every time. Yeah. I always hated going to eat with other guys on the team because it's like, really, we're trying to make a scene here.
Right. You can't not make a scene. Like you walk in and everyone's going to look at you. And like, it's not even like oh, look at me, look who I am. Cause like, they don't know who I am. They just know that I'm freaking huge. And so they're like, wow, why is that guy so big? Like,
yeah. See, that's what frustrates me. Like for you two individuals and for other people, like in that spotlight, like don't come up and be like, hey, do you play football for Tennessee? Like I get it that they're just, want to know, but like for me, it's a cringeworthy thing for you all because it's like, well, yeah, I play, but like if I, if I was good enough or if like you knew enough, like you would know who I am. So it's just kind of like that. It's like that awkward, weird thing that I feel for you guys. Like I remember, being in public and someone will come up and say something like that to somebody. I'm just like, oh, just either know their name or don't come up.
Or don't say nothing. Right. Just say, hey, I saw a Tennessee football player today. He was tall.
Yeah, that's it. Your story's not going to be cooler because you went up and asked him what his name was.
Right. Didn't know me before. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Wait. I got one more. I got one more for Jacob. If you got time. If you could have one moment, one play, one drive, or one game back, any of them from this season so far, what would you have?
I think you know the answer to that question.
Oh, I actually don't. I know what I would be if I was a player, but I don't want to say that.
Mine would be Ole Miss.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do this right here with the ball. That extended right over that little.
Oh my gosh!
Inches.
Oh my gosh! I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow! Hey, you know what, Jacob? You should have made me guess because I would have just been like, I don't know, the Florida game.
Well, no, that for sure. Definitely that one too. I forgot about that
Ole Miss play. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's nothing on your part. I mean, you did everything you could. So.
Yeah, and people don't realize watching at home, we don't see the yellow line on the field.
Yeah, dude, it's not that it's not that obvious.
It's not that obvious to be like, that's the first down.
Why wouldn't he just put the ball right on the yellow line? Like, dude, whatever. Whatever.
Hey, no, I feel bad because I didn't think I completely forgot all about that. Like, there's so much that happened in that game that I don't even revert back to that play, but now I feel terrible because Jacob's this loser
was the worst time of my whole season. You just brought it back up. No, it's all good. It's all good.
No,
I was going to say it's probably nice that people are forgetting about it. And Jacob's
100%. Yeah.
Please don't remember that.
As a fan, if you want to be honest, like if I'm thinking about that game, these are the things I'm thinking about. Kiffin's a clown. I'm thinking about the nonsense from the fans. I'm thinking about the players going down on the injury stuff, and then the last play of the game. Like those are what I didn't even think about that play.
No, yeah, definitely the mustard bottle and the golf ball and the bottles and stuff. All that kind of covered up the fact that I didn't get the first down. They were more worried about that than the fact that I didn't convert. So it's all good.
It's all good. All right. Well, appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much. And let's go beat Vandy, huh?
Yes.
Hey, keep balling out and best of health. I know it's only hopefully 2 more games, but just keep doing what you're doing. You're making everybody here proud, so it's awesome.
It's good to hear. I really appreciate y'all.
All right. See you, bud. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that amazing interview with Jacob. Love that he came on. Hopefully we can get him on again. Talk, during the off season, maybe during bowl prep. But now that we have a little extra time, let's talk about the rest of the SEC. And biggest headline, a few hours before we record this, Dan Mulllen out at Florida, fired, decided himself not to coach the Florida State game as maybe a distraction. So, Reed, I just want to ask you about your take from earlier in the year of Mullin being a better coach than Kirby Smart. Not recruiter, but coach.
Coach, right.
And how your take feels now that Dan Mullin is fired.
So it's fun. I'm glad you brought this up, man. This is nice. I'm sitting up in my chair because I feel like I just got attacked. No, not attacked. You know what I mean? But first off, I wanted to say thanks for Jacob jumping on. He's a good dude, man. He's a nice guy. Boy, looking smooth. Got the nice glasses on, just looking swaggy. Of course, I feel horrendous and terrible about asking him about I was just like, as a player, we all have a play or a drive or a game of possession. And I kid you not, Kyler, I swear on everything. When I asked him that, I was thinking, and he was like, and I think he goes, oh, really? Like, you're going to ask me that? And I was going to guess, what, Florida? Because they're in the dumpster fire now, so you guys want to go whip them? But then he was like, I wish I would have reached the ball out against Ole Miss. And I was like, and I seriously feel so, like, I feel so bad about it. He handled it well. And I need to text him or, like, get his number from you or DM him by bro. Like, I completely forgot about it. I did because there was so much other crap that happened in that Ole Miss game.
There was like 40 extra minutes of gameplay because there was 30 minutes of delayed time with people throwing shit on the field. So it's like you forgot that even happened. It's weeks later, and I don't think about that as a reason that like they lost or anything like that. But Jacob's such a good guy, so I appreciate that. Kyle, I still think Dan Mullin is a better coach
game day coach than Kirby Smart. And I don't think it's for me, like, I just don't even think it's really a question. But that's the beauty of college football. Like, you might not have to be the better coach. Like, if you just have the better players and you let some of your other coaches coach them up and do those things. And I think it was Kirby that took the shot at Dan Mulllen after they beat him handily. He's like, it doesn't matter about the X's and O's if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes. And like, so, and it's funny to talk about this too, because in the group of my buddies and people that I know, like we have some people that we jokingly call like major Dan Mulllen fans. Like they loved him. Like they were very impressed with what he did at Mississippi State. And then when he got the job at Florida, they were so upset that he didn't come here and that we didn't get him. But like we learn as we go. Like I knew what he was doing at Mississippi State, but I'm not tied. I'm not like locked into Mississippi State. And then we're seeing what he does at Florida, but I'm not locked in on his recruiting classes and who he's bringing in and who he's not. I don't care. Like I'm just focused on Tennessee. And so like, I felt like, and the best thing that you can say in life, but really in sports, is life comes at you fast, like very, very fast. A few months ago or a couple months ago, he was being talked about as how he competed with Alabama and took them to the wire and had a chance to win that game. And now it's November, whatever. I don't even know what day it is. And 21st. He does, what is it, 21st?
21st.
Yeah, November 21st, and he doesn't have a job. And it's like, I don't know why Dan had that, like why he kind of almost, kind of killed himself off, basically. What I mean, like kind of put the nail in his own coffin by saying what he said about the recruiting, which is the most asinine thing that you can say after, being asked about that. And then how he reacted about some stuff. And then, today or last night when that video was out about after he lost and he looks like he's got like a smirk on his face. And maybe like people are reading too much into stuff. Maybe he is still pissed, but he's just being a professional and saying, to Eli Drinkwitz, like, hey, good game, man. Like you guys won, like, whatever. I don't know what that is, but like, it's just life comes at you fast. And like, he literally was the head coach at a top 5, 8, 10 job. And now he's unemployed. And it happened like that. And it's crazy what happened if you can lose a team. And I still think he's a good game day coach. I think he's good. Probably not as good as I thought he was. But
I mean, I just like, I don't, this whole argument, like he doesn't have the talent that Georgia has. Like, I understand that Georgia has a lot of talent. Like Kirby Smart has had a top 5 class, like 4 years in a row. But I don't care about that. He should still be able to perform with the guys he has on his team. I know that he has 5 stars on his team and 4 stars and guys that want to compete. And it's like his record and him falling apart the way that he has tells me that he's not a good on the field coach. I don't think it tells me he doesn't have the right guys in there. I think it tells me he's not performing on the field like he should be as a coach, or he's not getting these guys ready to play or up to play like he should be. Like, what was it last week? Who'd they play? That they were losing it. What was it? Sanford. That they were losing at halftime. And it's like, that is an example of just being like, you don't have your guys ready to beat the crap out of this team. Like, that should have been what we just did at South Alabama, but it wasn't. And I've told you 1,000 times that head coaching is not about X's and O's. It's about motivation. It's about judge of character, and just being able to like trust and get guys to trust you. Like, that's all it is. It has nothing to do with what schemes you run or how good you are at drawing up plays or blitzes or anything like that. Like, it's like all about motivation. Most head coaches don't even coach offensive defense.
I know, but I just think it's changing a little bit. Like, I think some of the ones that you see that are the better ones, well, maybe not, because, you really don't know who's calling and what's not calling or whatever. I think Saban allows his people to do it. I think Kirby allows his people to do it. I'm not sure. I think Ryan Day calls his own plays, doesn't he? At Ohio State, and I get what you're saying. It's really hard for me as a Tennessee fan, and I just watched what Josh Heupel did, and like he is calling his own plays, and I do think scheme and some of that stuff matters. If someone wants to say it's 60-40, players matter more than scheme and whatever, I can, if you want to say 50-50, 60-40, either way, like I know there's an argument either way, but I would disagree. And I still think Dan Mulllen can put a good game plan together. He can still call some good games. So I would disagree and say that he's still a decent game day coach, but he maybe isn't a good traditional head coach like what you're saying.
It's like you can be a good game day coach and be a good offensive coordinator.
Right.
But you need that other stuff to be a good head coach.
Correct. And he lost the team, just like we saw Dooley lost the team, Butch lost his team, and Pruitt. They all three lost their teams in the last year or the last part of the last season before they got fired. And that's what's happened down there. Like when you lose a team, like it's over. Like they're out there and they're just kind of going through the motions, like maybe trying, but like it's not the same when you lose a team. And so, yeah, I mean, so I mean, it'd be ignorant for me to say that like he's a better coach than Kirby Smart because the results have to matter in some way. And like he fell on his face, so I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I don't know if he'll go get like I'll be interested, man. I don't know if he's going to go get like a mid-major job, not a mid-major, but like a.
You know what he'll do is Bill O'Brien will get a OC job in the NFL, and then he'll go be OC at Bama.
Yeah, that's true.
Saban has just made it into like the reincarnation school. Like he just brings in coaches to like reinvigorate their careers.
But I agree. I don't necessarily think that he's had a big of a fall off as some of those others. Like he hasn't been as bad as a Kiffin or Bill O'Brien or a Sark. Sark was battling addiction problems and had alcohol. So I mean, like. Dan Mulllen could go to a smaller Power 5 school or Group of 5 school and ball out and try to work his way back up, or he could go to Bama. So you're right. I don't know. That's why I'm interested to see because I think he's still like a Gus Malzahn, where it's like he can go get like a UCF job like once that Gus got once he got fired at Auburn.
Yeah. So two other coaching news in the SEC. One is the rumor of Jimbo Fisher to LSU, and Jimbo just straight up denying it, saying he'd never do it, which I am just like, don't ever believe a coach. And then what's coming out about Lane Kiffin, the fact that he is saying he would be interested in the Miami job if it came available. I don't know if the Miami job is going to become available, but the Florida job is open. So do you think either of those guys would leave where they're at right now and go to those schools, LSU and Florida?
Well, one thing you didn't bring up is the Lincoln Riley stuff.
Yes, Lincoln Riley also to LSU, but I feel like it is so dumb for him to leave Oklahoma and go there.
See, I disagree completely. And this is why. If Oklahoma was going to stay in the Big 12, I completely agree that he would be so dumb to leave. You have a cakewalk every year. Well, a supposed cakewalk if he has his crap together and not out there losing to a bunch of jabronis or having tight games with Kansas and all that and then finally losing. But he played too many close games. You're going to play with fire. You're going to finally get burned. But an easier cakewalk than the SEC West or the SEC in general. But since Oklahoma is coming into the big boys, then why would you not go to LSU? Because in my opinion, LSU could arguably be the number 1, 2, or 3 best job in all of America. LSU, with the talent that they have in that state and the support and the fans and the culture and all that, there's not many schools that the last 3 coaches they've had have all won a national championship.
That's true.
Like Saban won a national championship there. Then you have Les Miles, who is just a clown. He wins one there. He could have won 2. And then you got Ed Orgeron, which Coach O, to me, I've always thought I just don't think he's a very good coach, like a head coach wise. I mean, like you said, he did us all the rah-rah and they fired up and play hard for him. But like he got really fortunate with, maybe the best offense and maybe the best team that we've seen in college football. And then Joe Brady. And it was just a great mixture. But like, I never thought that was going to be long-term, sustained success for him. And a lot of people, what's that? I can't hear your things in and out.
I said, go Tigers.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like, and like I said, I'm not saying, I called that. There's 90% of people who are all making the jokes like they won the national championship this year and he'll be on the hot seat next year. Everyone was saying it. So if I was Lincoln Riley, I would strongly consider LSU just because Oklahoma's going to have to come here and play anyways. But for Kiffin, man, I don't know much. I mean, dude, that guy, he'll jump to another school if he thinks it's a better opportunity or more money or whatever. He just loves the attention and stuff. And I don't know how he likes living in Ole Miss. I don't know how he thinks, but I can promise you, if I was him, I'd rather go to Miami because the ACC's a dumpster fire. And he's going to have – I mean, if he goes down there and gets some talent out of that, South Florida area and he gets him a quarterback, dude's going to be top 5, top 8, top 10 every year because he'll get the preseason hype and then their schedule is going to be super weak. So
yeah, I don't think enough coaches in Miami have used the absolute unimaginable pipeline of alumni that they have, of guys that have played in the NFL that are absolute legends. Like, why is Michael Irvin not someone you ask to FaceTime a recruit, or Ray Lewis, or just anybody, like any guy, Vince Wilfork? Like, literally there's so many players from Miami that it's like, get them on the phone with a recruit and let them know, like, hey, Miami's the place to be. A lot of those guys in the 80s, like, tell them, like, I was making money when you weren't allowed to make money. So now you guys come to Miami. Miami's the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in the world. Like, NIL deals, football. Like, I feel like Lane is dying to be there. Like, why would you not want to be in Florida, even if it is the Florida Gators, over Ole Miss? Like, no one, like, you don't want to be in Mississippi.
Well, I just don't. Yeah, the Miami thing is very odd to me. With Manny Diaz and the other guy that they hired, Al Golden, I think, when he was always wearing the ties, and then they had Mark Richt there. And I get, like, maybe a somewhat younger guy who will play into all the social media and all this stuff and all the branding. But I do think that they do try to bring those guys back to the Michael Irvins, the Ed Reeds, the Ray Lewises. Like, I think they try to get those guys involved, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. It hasn't panned out. And I don't know why, like, whatever, but I think he would crush it there. And then with Florida, I mean, I could see him going to Florida and doing fine there as well. I mean, he still has to play, Georgia or Bama in the SEC championship and stuff like that. But with Kiffin, man, like, I don't really know. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Florida, Miami. Hell, if freaking Lincoln Riley leaves to go to LSU and Kiffin goes to LSU, and then I'm not going to be surprised if some of these ADs don't want to deal with Kiffin. You know what I mean? Like, so he's just such a wild card to me. And I actually believe, Jimbo, that he wouldn't leave. Like, he's built, first off, he makes a ton of money at Texas A&M. Like, they have a great just backing and support and all that stuff. And, like, he's brought in some really good recruiting classes. And, like he even said, like, he'd be kind of dumb to leave now. And, so I actually kind of believe him. Like, I don't necessarily see him leaving there right now.
I think it's dumb for him to leave, but I don't think that means he wouldn't.
Oh, yes. You
know what I mean? Like, it is definitely dumb for him to leave there. He's built so much there, and they're on the rise, and they're literally right there. I mean, they just beat Bama this year. Like, they're so close to breaking through. So for him to leave, I think, is dumb. But if LSU is like, hey, here's this much money, like, I just don't think – I don't think you can take coaches by their words at this point. Like, with all that has happened in the past, like, you really just cannot believe coaches. And they're like, no, I wouldn't leave. Doesn't matter how much money they offer me, I wouldn't leave.
And you never know what's going on behind the scenes with maybe boosters that they don't like at their current school, with maybe some higher ups that they don't like at their other school. And all it takes is someone to get a little frustrated and think that the grass is greener. But, my grandfather always said, and he would say it serious and he would say it joking, but he's like, money talks and bullshit walks. And it's true. Like, you can sometimes write checks, man, and and people. I mean, people are going to at least listen, So
exactly.
Let me say this about the whole Dan Mullin stuff, though. it's a great time to be a Tennessee fan. And I was really thinking about this. I was like, Tennessee, in my opinion, and life comes at us fast, like I just said. So maybe by midway season of next year, or maybe, whatever, in a year from now, I'm like blindsided by Heupel, like we're not winning games. He didn't bring any good recruits, like whatever the case might be. But sitting here right now, like I think Tennessee is so incredibly lucky and fortunate. And I'm not going to give away what Jacob, well, I guess this is after the Jacob interview, like we've already done it, but people have already seen it, is like the thing that he brought up about Danny White. That Danny, we were all sitting there expecting, like, you asked him a question, like, we're like, okay, great. What's he going to say about, what's he going to say about Heupel that Pruitt didn't do? Like, no, he came in and started with Danny White, and he's like, Danny came to us and was like, what do you guys want? What do you need? Like, what do you guys feel? And so that's great. And so I just feel like we got really, really lucky to get rid of the Gump, to just rebrand. And the fact that we landed a head coach who had head coach experience, he had offensive coordinator experience in this league. He's been around this league. He's a player. He knows college football. He seems like a good guy. He seems like he cares. He's still got that little bit of edge and swag about him. He's good at what he does. And he came here and we got him. And it's just like, I said it from day one when everyone was like, this is such an embarrassment. Auburn fires Gus Malzahn and UCF, loses Heupel and then they upgrade their coach. Like, I never thought that one time. And it would infuriate me when I'd hear people on the sports animal like, oh, we're going to be looking at this in 6-7 months and Gus Malzahn's going to be better than Heupel. I'm like, we saw what Gus Malzahn did in our league at a school very comparable to Tennessee, and he got fired. Leopards don't change their spots. Why do we think that he's going to – I get it. He won a national championship there. Or he was offensive coordinator of the whole Cam Newton thing. Like, I get it. Like, he had some success and he beat Bama. But I just felt like we kind of knew what we would have gotten, and I'm not a huge Gus Bus guy. And to finish this kind of rant, like, Tennessee is just very lucky for all the reasons I just said. Is like, as bad as we were and as bad of a shape that we were in, the best hire they made was Danny White, because the next best thing that he did was bring in Coach Heupel, who is a proven head coach. He's not an up-and-comer. He's not a offensive coordinator that we don't know how they're going to be as a head coach. And I think we're going to look at this, knock on wood, and just be really fortunate that he was our head coach for whether he's here for another 5-8 years or, like when all that stuff came up about Oklahoma, I was like bummed out, man. I was like, dude, I hope Lincoln Riley doesn't leave. I don't know if Oklahoma would come back and get Heupel, but like if we lost Heupel after this year, I would be very, very, very bummed out. Like very bummed out. I would be like, dang, like right when I felt like we were going and,
I think that I literally think I mentioned that when we first got Heupel, that like one thing that would worry the crap out of me is, USC was Lane Kiffin's dream. It's like, is Oklahoma Heupel's dream? So like it, say Lincoln Riley goes to LSU, does Heupel like really entertain Oklahoma and actually go there? Like, damn, like just feeling like we're heading in the right direction. That would be tough. But I agree with your sentiment in the fact that like I feel like we revamped at the right time. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, and we picked the right person, obviously, but we revamped at the right time. To where we can really build off of this momentum and get to where we need to go. Because like if say Kirby loses, like doesn't win the national championship this year, I mean it's almost like writing's on the wall about him. Like he's a good coach and he can get you 10 wins, but he can't get the job done, just like Mark Richt was. So it's like he has to win this year. He has to. Or that is always going to be his legacy. Like, teams like this team, the defense, the way it is, like it's not going to be like that in the future. So I feel like if it's not this year, then I could see easily like 2-3 years down the road he's out, and then it's like, okay, we got a head start on all the other teams in SEC, SEC East at least. So.
Well, I'm really happy. I know a lot of people, the number one thing I was happy with, and I said it on this podcast, is that we got rid of Fulmer. I mean, I could go on a rant about Fulmer, but I'm so sick of that guy. Like, I just think all the overrated pub he gets, and when he was at and all that crap, and wanted to keep Pruitt, so I was happy they got rid of Fulmer. And then everyone was saying, well, I don't think we can get rid of Pruitt this year because it's a COVID year and all this money and the buyout and stuff. Can you imagine if we let him come back another year and we ended up firing him midway through the season because he doesn't do a good enough job, and now we have to compete with USC, LSU, Florida, and all these for some coaches? And I'm like, I mean, it would be crazy. And so we got really fortunate, and I still, like I said, things can change. I hope they don't, but things could always, change or get worse or whatever. But I just think we are extremely, extremely lucky to have, Heupel and Danny White,
Yeah, I completely agree. All right. Great pod. Great week going into Vandy. So super excited about that. Appreciate you guys watching, listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Talk to the other people in the comments. Make friends. Make enemies, possibly. If you're listening, make sure and review. Make sure and follow. Make sure and download and re-download. That always helps with the numbers. And if you want to contact us, email bleavintennesseefootball@gmail.com. Phone number 865-322-9232. And follow us on social media at Kyler Curbison on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. At rbacon26 on Twitter for Reed. At Believe in Tennessee on Twitter for our main account. And reach out. Send us tweets. Let us know how we're doing. We love the support and love you guys. Just really, you're the ones who make this podcast really worth it. So
let me say something.
Thank you so much.
Let me say something too. I just realized, so we're putting this pod out on Wednesday. So I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. And it's so perfect because you were just talking about the fans, and we're very thankful for anybody and everybody that reaches out. It was amazing that, Jacob reached out to you, and that's why he ended up on the pod today, was because he reached out to you about his mom had watched. And I think I'm pretty sure his mom started following the account. So that was awesome to see. And, and so we're really thankful for anybody and everybody that listens, that reaches out. Everyone have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. And we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hug every family member you got and appreciate it. So thank you guys again for watching, listening. And as always, go Vols.